Possible James Gunn and Green Lantern news? What does this mean? What's up, Universe, and welcome back to the web's first must-see comic and nerd culture show. Welcome to Comic Universe. I'm your host, as always, the kingpin of comic culture, C-Dubs. And guys, welcome to Comic Universe. I'm riding solo on this video. Guys, got some news for you. There's been some rumbling in the jungling, if you will, with all of this nonsense and craziness that's going on with Disney, Marvel, James Gunn, and the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. If you've been living under a rock for the past couple weeks, James Gunn has been fired from the MCU and Disney and from Guardians of the Galaxy due to some tweets that he had posted about 10 years ago. Some off-colored and jokes and poor taste, essentially. Some of them had to do with pedophilia and necrophilia and things of that nature. But not getting into that. He was let go due to those. Regardless of what you think, what has kind of transpired since then is a lot of people in Hollywood are kind of been split on the fence. Some are all, saying, dude, it was just a joke, bad taste, poor taste, doesn't matter. And then the other half are, trying to still chastise him, essentially. The cast of Guardians of the Galaxy does seem to have his back, and there is petitions to get James Gunn re-signed and rehired by Disney and Marvel to still be the director of Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Now, this is big news because the chances are there won't be a Guardians of the Galaxy 3, or it may not be the same type of movie or feel the same with a different director behind it. So this is kind of big news. But that's not what we're talking about here today. We are talking about the fact that there are some rumbles that DC and Warner Brothers are really interested in James Gunn, possibly bringing him on for, let's say, a Green Lantern franchise. And to that I say, look, if Marvel isn't going to rehire him, which I understand they're in between a rock and a hard place where they kind of can't. They can't just, give in to everybody else and then rehire him, because if they rehire him, they'd have to rehire anybody else in the future, or possibly that if they've let go in the past due to whatever said reasons. So they're kind of in a rock and a hard place, and part of me understands, because Disney is a very unique animal, regardless of all the politics behind it. The fact that Disney, has all these theme parks that have to do with children, and some of his off-color jokes were underage sexual orientations and things of that nature. Totally get it, and I understand. Sucks, but in the world of business, it is what it is. They could be trailblazer here and just bring him back and deal with any repercussions, but I doubt that'll happen. It might be worth too much of a headache than what it's actually worth, if you will. Even if it means that we don't get a third volume to Guardians of the Galaxy, which I still think we will. And he may even have some connections to it, but I don't think he'll be the credited director. I don't think they can get away with bringing him back in that capacity, if you will. But onto the DC side of things, this is absolutely fantastic news. If DC is going and Warner Brothers is going to take that plunge, it gives them the establishment. They're making a stand. They're making their views on this situation known. They're going to be the talk of the town. He understands space operas. He clearly put together a whole universe within a universe, if you will. We all know Marvel, and James Gunn didn't do it alone. Clearly, Feige and there's other people that have connective tissue to the creative process to the Marvel movies, but clearly James Gunn understands what he's doing. He brings a level of comedy and self-awareness to his films, and a creep factor as well. He's really good at, he understands aliens and creepiness too. So the whole DC echelon of space is really an untapped potential moving forward within the DC EU, or worlds of DC, if you will, whatever the hell they want to be called. I'm all about this. I'm all for it. As much as I'd rather him go back to Marvel to finish what he started, if that's not going to happen, him going to DC, and I don't want to look at it as he's giving the finger to Marvel, because I think a part of him, as much as it sucks, he has to kind of understand. And anyone who doesn't understand the situation that we're facing is just kind of lost, in all honesty. I'm not siding with Disney on this. And I'm not saying if I was the guy making the choices that that's the choice I would make. But you got to understand where they're coming from. Put all the politics aside, and how society is nowadays with they can't, they're always offended and they can't handle anything. And all these millennials, and again, no offense to any millennials who are not like this, but just a whole, he did this 10 years ago, blah, blah, blah. This whole mission to just, take this guy's livelihood away. It's just ridiculous. But on the corporate side, like I keep saying, you got to understand where they're coming from. It makes sense what they're doing. It is possibly the right choice, no matter how tough or how much it sucks. Now, and again, I'm saying possibly the right choice. Now, just moving forward, his vision of, there's been some sayings that he wasn't the biggest fan of like Nova or the Nova Corps. So he may not fully understand the Green Lanterns, because they are very similar in a lot of ways. But the Green Lanterns do have a much more expansive universe and expansive lore and mythos, if you will, and all the different Lantern Corps and all the different characters and creatures and monsters that live out in space that can be brought forth here. This literally could exist within the same universe, but on its own, in its own universe at the same time. And that's something, Warner Brothers seems to kind of want. They want this connective tissue because they know that that's the way it needs to be, the way of the future, the way Marvel has made it to be, the way Disney and Marvel has set the groundwork, and they know all the fans want the connective tissue, but they also don't like the pressure that comes with it and the expectancy that comes with it. So this is a good way that if you do get James Gunn in and he can kind of create this own little bubble, okay, with just small connective tissues, and maybe a character shows up here and there in someone else's movie that he himself has established, kind of like in the Avengers. Clearly James Gunn has established the Guardians of the Galaxy, but they felt like those same characters within, Avengers Infinity War. So it is clearly possible to be done. It's just a matter of if Warner Brothers can just kind of stay out of it as much as they can and let this kind of happen. Let DC kind of just make this happen. Again, Universe, I'm all for this. I think this is a great idea. There's nothing set in stone. It's just some rumors that are going around over the internet and over YouTube and things like that. A lot of people in the culture are kind of discussing that what if scenario, and maybe that DC has kind of reached out and placed some feelers. Usually when something like this is released, there's some sort of truth to it. Whether it becomes something or not, that's a whole entirely different story. But I do believe that there may be some, feelers going out there to see how the public would react to this. And I think if it is reacted in any positive manner, that there's a good chance that this happens. Because, in all honesty, if you're James Gunn and you're fired from Disney, and there's a chance that he could never work in Hollywood again. Like, there's a chance his career is completely done. Like, there is 100% chance that could happen, that no major studio, essentially, is going to risk or touch him anytime ever, or possibly, at the very least, within the immediate future. There are definitely other people in Hollywood that have done worse, said worse, believed worse, and still have managed to continue some sort of career. But the difference is Marvel, regardless of you like it or not, they are the biggest entity in terms of entertainment right now and in Hollywood. So you're on this huge pedestal and you're this bright beacon. So you're in so many homes and on the tip of so many people, and it involves so many children, if you will, in terms of the theme parks and the appeal that Disney has, and since his comments have to do with children and pedophilia and things of that nature, it's so much worse in some ways. Now, I do think that he'll have another job. He'll be fine, I think, in the grand scheme of things. But if I were him, I wouldn't wait. I wouldn't risk it. I would just quickly, if DC's reaching out to me, Marvel's not bringing me back, I'm jumping on board. On the flip side, if Marvel and DC and Disney really are that competitive, and competitive is good for everybody. It breeds, creativity and things to that nature. If Disney really doesn't want, if Marvel and Disney really don't want Warner Brothers and DC to become a viable threat in the entertainment world with the superhero films, then maybe this could encourage them to go, okay, well, this time we'll retract and you can come back, or at least as an advisor or something. Because losing him and his insight to them could mean, I don't want to say trouble as in Marvel's going to go under, Marvel Studios will go under, but you don't want to be sharing a profit. If you're a company, you want the profit. Though, competition is good, especially to us, the consumer. If you own that company that has the competition battling it, you really don't want it. So guys, tell me in the comments below, what do you guys think? Do you think that this is something that should happen? Do you want him to go back to Marvel? Do you want him to go to DC? Or is there another franchise out there that you can kind of see him jumping on board with? What about, like Star Trek? Do you think there's a chance that he could end up maybe working on a Star Trek film? I think he could do a lot of good there too. And let's not just put James Gunn in a box where all he can do is these space operas or science fiction films. I think he's a good enough director to kind of jump outside of the wheelhouse if he has to. So don't just think about space operas. What other movies do you think James Gunn could do? And where do you side on this whole what he did 10 years ago opposed to who he is now? Let us know in the comments below, guys. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe in the video. Click that bell, so you know when we're dropping videos, guys. We're trying to go hard. We're almost at 700 subscribers, guys. So please tell your friends and family, guys, to subscribe, join, like these videos if you like them. It's going to help more people find us. And the bigger we can grow and the faster we can grow, the better and the stronger community we're going to create. All right, guys, until next time, I'm C-Dubs, and I'll see you in the universe. Peace.